So you want to build a house. Welcome to the podcast called So You Want to Build a House, sponsored by Aurora Homes. I'm Scott Daly. I'm here with
Keith Strom. What's up?
How y'all doing? Glad to be here today. Episode 29. 29. Who could believe that over the last 5 years we have managed to produce 29 whole podcast episodes?
What's that? What's that per year? What's the average there?
I think the average is pathetic.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
It'd take me too long to do the mental math.
That's my mental math on it. Like, hey, there's actually a comment on the Apple podcast thing, a review, and it was like, hey, these guys, there's a lot of information. Why'd they stop?
Yeah, why did they take such a long hiatus?
Right.
Something like that.
We don't have a good answer for that. We're not going to lie to you. Why? We're busy, Hi, this is Scott Daly at Aurora Homes. Do you know the one greatest regret that people that build a new home have when they move in? Believe it or not, it's that they didn't get all of the features that they wanted. And so one of the big problems that you have with some of the large production builders is the speed at which they're going to move you through the process of making selections on a new home. At Aurora Homes, we're going to draw your plans from scratch. We're going to get to know you in the process, and we're going to walk you through so that you get the home that best suits your life. At Aurora Homes, our semi-custom production system will allow you to get the better home. We're here. We're available. We'd love to talk to you about your new project. You can reach out to us at yourfuturewillthankyou.com or give us a call at 302-381-8881. Now back to the podcast. But anyway, we're back for the 29th time in the last 5 years, and we're super excited to be here. It's going to be a great episode. What are we talking about today? Let's just skip the middleman.
We're talking about trusting the customer.
Trusting the customer. That's an interesting concept because I would think that normally you would say that the customer needs to trust the business, right?
Right. Yeah. Usually, you've got customers are generally, I would say in society today, they're skeptical, right? So they start to look into companies and then they find something that resonates with them and then they start to like the company. Right. So
that makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, in this case, we're trusting the customer.
Right. And gosh, that's important. Or at least it seems like it's important. But I'm just trying to think of like parallels in other businesses. Like if I go onto Amazon and I want to auto ship San Marzano tomatoes from the Pompeii region of Italy, right, which I actually do have on my auto ship at Amazon. Like, does Amazon need to trust me? It doesn't seem like it really computes. So why do you think it's important in this, in home building? So, that's the thing. We trust our customers. Oh, well, good for you.
I think that if we trust that our customers kind of know what they want, that's a foundation that can be built, a relationship that can be built.
Right.
So if we're coming from the point of view of trust and trusting our customers to tell us what they're looking for,
right,
they probably will.
Yeah. And I also think it's being able to trust the customer probably has something to do with being able to build mutual trust, right? I mean, one of the things people don't ever think about in new construction is that you're really starting like a 2 to 3 year relationship, right? So by the time you spec out a house, have it built, move into it, and run the warranties, you're looking at least in the case of Aurora Homes, you're looking at north of 2 years because the warranties are 2 years. And so, the first time you walk into that model or you send an email or your first interaction with that company is the beginning of a relationship that could take longer than 2 years. It could take 3. It could be longer than 3. Like if you spend a year looking for a new house and then you spend a year designing and building it, and then you've got a 2-year warranty, that's 4 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
That's a college education if you can get it done that quickly.
You want to make it right. You want to make the right decision because that is a long time.
It's a
4
long
years.
time. And
It's a
so
long time.
trust is going to be an important thing. And so I think one of the things that you find at Aurora is that we want trust to be a two-way street. We want to earn trust, but we also want to trust in the other direction. And so, that's important. And then you think about it, think about it in life, how trust really is an important thing in every aspect of your life, And I don't think people, I don't trust people. And I hear somebody who's a little cynical, and I'm a little cynical, say, "Oh, I don't trust people." And I want to look at them and I'm like, "Do you drive a car?"
Then you trust people.
Then you trust perfect strangers implicitly with your life
and your metal plastic thing with 4 wheels. You trust that it's gonna take you from point A to point B if you press the pedal, and that your brakes will deploy when you press the pedal.
Right.
There's a lot of trust that goes into that.
A lot of trust. You're trusting that people understand what a red light means.
Yeah.
Or what a green light means.
Yeah.
Just very basic things. You're trusting that whatever government entity built the road, it's not going to swallow your car.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of trust in everyday life, I think, that makes a lot of sense, and people just don't realize how often they are putting their trust in things. I go to a restaurant and I'm going to cook me a meal, and I trust that I'm going to like it. It's not going to make me sick, or just
right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Would you just sit down at somebody's random house in their dining room and they were like, "I'm going to make you a steak"? Would you be like, "Sure"?
No, probably not.
No. It'd be weird.
Yeah.
At the very least.
It depends. If it comes on high recommendation, someone's like, "Hey, got to go check out my friend Eddie makes the best prime rib."
Right.
You should go over there and.
I'm just rolling to Eddie's. Yo, Eduardo.
Can you make
Where's the beef?
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. I don't know of another scenario where I'm just showing up and being like, "Hey, I'm gonna eat this."
Just random food, right? And so so trust is just I think building trust is important, and I think it's true too. The higher the stakes, the higher the value of trust. You think about it, and it's we just talked about the high level of trust, believe it or not, that we have to do a very mundane thing, drive a car or ride in a car or whatever.
Right.
And there's a high level of trust. But, let's pretend you're spending $750,000 with a company. Where does that level of trust need to be?
Yeah, that's for a lot of people, that's big life savings. All that money you're gonna need to trust heavily.
Right.
Or normally you would trust heavily.
You are. You're certainly trusting them with your money. The question is, are you making a good decision or a bad decision?
Right.
Because if you decide you're going to buy a $750,000 house with a builder, you're saying I'm trusting you, and the question is that a good decision or not? But it is a decision that's made, and so we think that building trust allows for better decision making. That's a big decision, and so the more that you can trust a builder, if it's a new home, and the more that the builder can trust you, the better I think that decision ends up becoming.
Right. Yeah. If you come in kind of shelled up into the process as a consumer, and you don't want to put some cards on the table and kind of explain where you're coming from on different stuff, you're probably not going to end up with the product that you're looking for if you're building a house. But if you come in with a little bit of trust, you're typically going to get a lot out of that, because then it sort of starts this brainstorm where, the builder will be like, "Oh, you really like windows? Okay, thanks for sharing that." Whereas before you're like, "I don't want to I don't want to talk about windows because they're going to be $4,000 a piece."
Right.
And then you're like, you don't get anywhere because you never talked about it because you didn't trust. So,
it's a really big thing.
Yeah.
And also, I think trust is really important when you factor in the idea of it, that a lot of folks think that new construction is a little scary, and they're afraid to make bad decisions. And I think psychologically, fear of screwing up is a bigger, more powerful emotion than the excitement about success. You know, like if you talk to very successful athletes, they will tell you that they hate losing more than they love winning. And so it's, you know, it's ultimately there's a negative driver of that. You know, it's like I remember somebody was talking to Michael Jordan one point, and it was like, you know, and he was like, yeah, I hate losing more than I like winning. And it's like, you know, the triumph of winning, you know, 6 championships was ultimately driven not because he wanted to win 6 championships, because he never wanted to lose.
Yeah.
He hated that feeling of losing. Now, you know, it was a part of the process, but anyway. And so I think sometimes that when you get into the situation of, like you said, I like windows, or I have to make all these decisions about what goes into my new home, like if you don't trust the builder to help guide you through those decisions, then A, you're either going to make bad decisions because you're not going to ask for the builder's input, or B, you probably end up making bad decisions because you never even bring it up. Like you said, like, man, I want to design a house with a lot of windows, but I never told the builder, so I didn't get any more windows. Why? Because I was afraid of something else that the builder was going to do with that information.
Right. Yep, that's right.
And that's just kind of a sad thing, because, you know, if they don't know, they're not going to respond in a way that is going to help you solve your problem. And so if you trust the builder can guide you through the process, and you can ultimately get out with a better product. And I think that's what scares some people out of new construction entirely. They're like, I'd really like to have a new house, but I'm just afraid I can't make all those decisions.
Right.
And it's like, well, if you're sitting in a builder's model and that's your thought, you either need to learn to trust that builder, or you need to find one you can, I would guess.
Yeah, if it's got to be someone else, it's got to be someone else.
Right.
But you can't go through that process and not trust.
Right.
That's just not a smart decision. It's really just too much.
It's too much.
Yeah.
And in your experience, like, trust helps through the building process, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you can build that on the builder side. You can build that through good communication, making sure when you're setting your dates, you're hitting those, as best as you can, and communicating when you can't, right? So those are different ways that you can build trust with customers. But on the same front, yeah, I mean, if you're going to come to me with an honest, thought or opinion about something, then, you know, it's easier to bridge those gaps than if you come from a place of defensive-ness,
right,
and withholding.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of it is just sort of deciding how you're going to be in the process, and how you're going to respond to stuff. You know, there have been situations where things that were done in a house were done improperly, right? And so, you know, you have a house. To build a house, you're going to have, I don't know, 120, 150 different human beings wander through that house with a specific job to do. And listen, just the reality is that house is not perfect.
Yep. And
then if you find something and you want to bring it up to the builder, then the question is, you know, do you trust that they're going to make it right?
Right.
You know?
And that's a retroactive decision too, because if you're in a position where you're with the builder that you don't trust to do that right thing, then, you know, you gotta wish that you made the right decision 3 months before you started the project.
Right.
That's
if you didn't trust the builder and you're halfway through a $750,000 project, that's stress.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's stress. So it's interesting. So one of the ways that we look to build trust with our customers is we have a lot of information on our website, because we think that at Aurora Homes, if you get more information, you're able to make better decisions, you know, whatever those decisions are. Because obviously in the new home process, there's a lot of decisions. And especially initially on, you're not necessarily making those decisions alongside your builder. If you're still trying to select a builder or select a location for a lot home package, or you know, you're walking through that part of the process that you haven't decided on a builder, I think then it becomes apparent that the builder needs to say, hey, we're going to trust you, and we're going to give you some information, and we're going to hope you digest that information, and it allows you to make a better decision, right? And so one of the key principles of Aurora is we trust our customers. And how do we do that? Initially, in the very early stages, when we might not even know that someone is looking at Aurora as a possible builder, we're going to say, hey, look, here's information. You know, here's our podcast where you can learn about the home building process. Here are online pricing where you can go on to the website, you can select a model, you can get a lot of structural option prices. You can play with the exteriors and change the siding colors and the roof colors and all that, and you can really get yourself educated on the process. We have YouTube, we have Instagram. There are virtual tours on the website of the models that we build. And all of those things are available. And what that does is it allows, in our opinion, a customer to make a better choice.
Yeah.
So, and I guess, then the question is isn't that what all the other builders do?
No, they don't.
Yeah. And I mean, we don't really know because it's really not our problem to know what the other builders do. But, I would just say that certainly we can't be the only ones that do that. But I would say that if the builder doesn't trust their potential customers with more information, I mean, that I'd want to know why. Maybe they have a great rationale to say, here's why we won't tell you how much our product costs and what comes with that cost on our website. And it's just some phenomenal reason that I'm an idiot and I haven't figured that out. And I don't know why I should be withholding that information in 2024 from our website. And there's plenty of successful builders out there. So maybe we're the morons.
Yeah.
Maybe
we're onto something.
Right. I just can't imagine, how for as expensive as a new home ends up being, that it would just say, why are they hiding that if that's what they're not doing? And it's not, we're just focused on what we're doing. And I really believe very strongly in that withholding information doesn't really build any kind of trust with the customer, because ultimately they're going to have to trust the builder. And so maybe it's incumbent upon the builder to make that first step and say, hey, I'm going to give you a little bit of information so that you can understand that I'm going to trust you. So down the road, when I frame up a knee wall that should be 36 inches tall, but the framer makes it 42 inches tall, and you take one of those walks on a Sunday afternoon through your house that we told you not to do, and you did it anyway, and you take a bunch of pictures and you send it to whoever's in charge of the build and go, what the heck? And it's like, oh, you can get mad and you can say, oh my gosh, the builder's trying to absolutely ruin my life, and they don't listen. Or you can be like, oh, well, this is supposed to be 36 inches and, we'll just fix it. All right. Our bad. It's not the end of the world. I've been doing this for a while. We've made some mistakes. I think they're, making mistakes is a part of being successful. So as long as you learn from it. So
yep,
that's my take on it. So, and what's been your experience in just, you've had some time to talk with customers on sort of every part of this process. And so when you see people that come in and they already trust you, and then you see the final product, can you see a difference in people that kind of took sort of an adversarial position with the builder versus people that came and said, hey, this is what I want?
Yeah, I think if you come from the perspective of defensiveness, when you come into a meeting, with your builder, you're probably gonna have to come to some kind of agreement before you can really move forward. And so maybe sometimes it's better to just come with with a winning attitude.
Right.
So I would say for the most part, as open as you're willing to be, so long as you're building with somebody that is not going to take advantage of you, and you can look at their track record to assess that. But if they're not going to take advantage of you, then your honesty is protected, and your transparency about your build is going to only improve your home and ultimately your life.
Right.
That's my take on it.
That's very well said. And so that's why I think you see where Aurora Homes is reaching out and saying we're going to be transparent first. Because ultimately we want this house to make your life better. And this is what this is all about. This is all about you moving into your Aurora home and loving it and saying, I'm so glad I built with this company. I love this house. And this house is literally improved my quality of life. That's what we want to do. And you're going to tell your friends, and we're going to get to build more of them. And that's it. And so that's why you see at Aurora Homes, we're going to trust you first. So hopefully down the road, you'll trust us. So... Trusting the customer. Any other thoughts, Mr. Strom?
No, I think we got it.
It's awesome.
Got it.
This is the So You Want to Build a House podcast.
Go check out that pricing tool. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that was.
Yeah, go check it out. It's really cool. You can do all sorts of cool stuff on there, and I mean, really, it's like nothing in this market. No one really has anything like this. So
right.
Go check
I
it
like
out.
making really ugly houses on it.
We talked about doing that like incentive, like a $5,000 options incentive for the ugliest house, something like that, something funny like that.
House. I mean, that's so if you haven't been on our website, you can pick an elevation of one of our plans, and you can in real time change the siding colors. And there's probably 40 siding colors, and I would say that and then there's, I don't know, like there's 4 or 5 roof colors, and there's accent siding colors. Not all 40 of those colors go together very well. In fact, some of them go together.
Especially if you use all 40 the same.
Right. They actually go together poorly. And I don't know colors that well. I'm not even allowed to dress myself. My wife just basically everything I own is blue, because you kind of can't go wrong with like khakis, blue jeans, and a blue shirt. And I just have 30 different iterations of that, because I can't be trusted with fashion, matching my clothes. When I was a kid, they had this clothing line called Garanimals, and you're too young to know this, but and I never owned them because my parents would never buy them for me. But it was like they would come with some card that was like color coded. And I always wanted these because it was like I didn't want to walk out looking like a dork, but I almost always did because I was a dork and I didn't know how to match my clothes. And my wife has she hasn't solved my problem, but she's just decided to solve it by not allowing me make choices in my clothing. She's like, so here, but she's had to really keep it simple because that's all I can handle. So anyway, I digress. Keith is right. Check out the website, which is yourfuturewillthankyou.com, and check out our next episode, which will be coming out soon. This is the So You Want to Build a House podcast. I'm Scott Daly.
I'm Keith Strom.
Have a great day.